Polynomial function. Polynomial function. What does polynomial mean? When we have nothing to say, we say poly. When we don't want to count and when we are tired, we say poly. For 1 we say uni, for 2 we say bi, for 3 we say tri, for 4 we say quad, for 5 we say penta, for 6 we say hexa. Now the numbers are countless. So the best way to talk about all these at once is say just poly, polynomial. So we have used a single word for all these kind of expressions. This is polynomial. So we have a function y equals fx. Okay. Now this is a function and function does what? Take some value, output some value. It may be different. The value may be different. So if I just put y equals 2, this is a constant function. We already talked about it. I am going to write every polynomial and you see they will be corresponding to some or the other function. This is nothing but 2 into x to the power 0. Anything to the power 0 is always 1. That is, anything to the power 0 is 1. So you can just write y equals 2 into x to the power 0. So this is a polynomial. This is a linear function, linear polynomial. Okay. This is also a polynomial, y equals fx. This is constant because x to the power 0 is 1. This is a constant function, linear function with a constant value. Not very linear. It's actually linear because y equals 2 is a straight line. Now change the value of power of x. I am changing the degree. First was having a degree as 0. Now x degree is 1. We have y equals 0 also. This is called a 0 polynomial. Sometimes you get y equals 0. This polynomial also has a name. It's a 0 polynomial. Y equals 3x. We'll try to look at this graph. We have seen the constant graph. It's just a straight line which is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, y equals 2 or y equals to 2x to the power 0. It's a straight line parallel to x-axis. Now this is y equals 3x. This is a linear function. Y equals 3x square plus 2. Now we have x square. Now the degree of this polynomial is 2. The second one was linear polynomial. This we call as quadratic polynomial. Square, the degree here is 2, means the highest power of x is 2 here. Whenever you go, later chapters, y equals 4ax. This is a parabola. So anything which has one variable and another variable with square power, it will give you parabola. So y equals 3x square plus 2 will be a form of parabola. This is a quadratic polynomial. Don't get confused by quadratic. Quad means 4. It is not quad 4 power. It's just 2 power. 9x cubed plus 3x square plus 2. Now we have another function. Now the degree of this polynomial is 3 because the highest power of x is 3. So x to the power 0, x to the power 1, x to the power 3. It can go up to x to the power n. Okay. So always the polynomial will have some power of x. And that will define what kind of polynomial it is, and that will define and indicate what kind of graph it is going to make. If I write this 3x squared plus 2 in ABC form, I can write it as a1x squared plus a2, or you can write b also. But the problem here is, whenever you say y equals a1x squared plus a2, when you will say it is as a quadratic polynomial or a polynomial with degree 2, until this a1 is not equal to 0. If I put a1 equal to 0, a1 into x square 0, a2 will come. This will become a constant function. This will not be a quadratic function. So in order to fulfill this, you have to say in a quadratic polynomial, a1 should not be equal to 0. So let us generalize it. So let us say a polynomial is a0 plus a1x plus a2x. So if you say quadratic, all this will be 0. If you say it's linear, all this after that will be 0. If you say constant, all thing after a0 will be 0. So whenever we say linear, we say y equals a0. So this is a0 plus a1x is linear, and you have to specifically say a1 not equal to 0. When we say quadratic, a0 plus a1x plus a2x square, if it is quadratic, you have to specifically say a2 is not equal to 0. So this is the first function you see is a linear function, second function you see is a quadratic function. A2 should not be 0, otherwise it will become linear again. So you have to be very clear to say A2 should not be 0. The value which is a coefficient of the highest power should not be 0 of that polynomial. Okay.